morning, dear students. Today we are going to talk about the principal parts of a sentence. So let's know with you the use of the principal parts of the sentence. The aim of the lesson is to get to know what are the principal parts of a sentence and how can we use them in our speech correctly. So let's begin with the syntax. Basically, what is the syntax? Syntax is a section of the science of language that studies phrases and sentences. Proposals are formed from words and phrases. The sentence is one of the basic units of the language and the basic unit of syntax. With the help of the sentence, we express our thoughts and feelings. We address each other with questions, advices, requests, orders. A sentence is a word or a few words that contain a message, a question or an urge, order, advice, request. The sentence is characterized by intonation and a separate utterance. The sentence has a grammatical basis consisting of the main members. These are the subject and predicate, or one of them. Let's clarify what are the subject and predicate. So the subject is the main part of the sentence, which is related to the predicate and to the nominative case. So the subject answers the question who and what. For example, the weather is good. What is the weather like? So here we use the WH word what. A predicate is the main member of a sentence that is related to the subject and is used for questions. What is the person or thing do? The subject and the predicate have a unique standing in the system of sentence parts. They form the backbone of the sentence. They are independent of any other sentence member, while all other members can be dependent either on the subject or on the predicate. The subject and the predicate can form a sentence on their own. For example, she smiles. He is running. In this sentence, the subject is she and the predicate is smiles. So the predicate tells what is the subject do or does. The subject is one of the two main parts of the sentence. It denotes the thing whose action or characteristic is expressed by the predicate. It may be expressed by different parts of speech, the most frequent ones being a noun in the common case, a personal pronoun in the nominative case, a demonstrative pronoun, or a substantivized adjective, a numeral or an infinitive and a gerund. It may also be expressed by a phrase. The subject performs two main functions, categorial and relative. The categorial function of the subject consists in naming the possessor of the predicative feature expressed by the predicate. The relative function of the subject consists in its being the original element in the syntagmatic development of the sentence. Thus, constituting the predicate is left environment as opposed to its right environment. As it has already been mentioned, the subject always goes with the predicate. Therefore, one-member nominal sentences do not have a subject. Next, the predicate. Let's identify it. The predicate denotes the action or property of the thing expressed by the subject. It can be expressed by numerous ways. The predicate expresses the predicative feature which characterizes the object expressed by the subject. Thus, it realizes the categorial function. Being linked between the subject and the right environment of the verb, it performs the relative function. According to morphological characteristics, 4 types of predicates can be singled out. They are verbal, nominal, phraseological, contaminated. The predicate can be subject to the syntactic process of complication. Thus, according to their structural characteristics, predicates can be simple and complicated. Therefore, 8 types of predicates can be identified. The first one is simple verbal. For example, I took an apple. So here's we used a complicated or a simple predicate, took, just one predicate. The second one is simple nominal. The coincidence was extraordinary. Here is we used a simple nominal, was extraordinary. The third one is simple phraseological. He gave me a smile. So we transformed the smile like he gave. The fourth one, simple contaminated. He said motionless. So we use simple contaminated like motionless. Set. Here's the predicate is set. The fifth one, complicated verbal. For example, the girl began to cry. Verbal, a complicated verbal predicate in this sentence is began to cry. Just 2 predicates. The sixth one, complicated nominal. He turned out to be a thief. And the seventh one, complicated phraseological. You should have taken it to get the map. So here a complicated phraseological, we used have taken, and the last one is complicated contaminated. He seemed to be lying asleep. To be lying asleep, here is a complicated predicate. Complicated contaminated predicate. The next, the subject. The subject is as well the principal part of the sentence. It's the grammatical and not dependent on the other parts of the sentence. So it's a backbone of the sentence and can denote a living being, a lifeless thing, an idea or a phenomenon. It may be expressed by a single word or a group of words, a pronoun or noun or a substantivized adjective, a participle too. For example, she or Jenny is very beautiful. So we can change the subject with the pronoun or noun. For example, as a noun, we can use the word, the name Jenny, or we can change the word Jenny with the pronoun she. The second one is the wounded were taken good care of. So here is the subject is the wounded. The second one is a numeral, cardinal or ordinal, an infinitive and infinitive phrase or construction in ing form, like a gerund. For example, as a numeral, in the first sentence is shown the subject. The first is his number in races. Here is the subject. The first we used like a numeral. To know everything is to know nothing. In this sentence, the subject is showed like an infinitive. And seeing is believing. So here the subject is seeing. Here's we use the subject like a gerund with the help of ing ending. And the predicate as well is an important part of the sentence as a unit of communication. It expresses prediction. The grammatical categories of the verb that express prediction are tense, mood, person and number. The verbal categories of person and number are induced by the subject. So we cannot imagine the sentence without the subject. And predicates are classified according to different principles, semantic, syntactic, and morphological.